In one way, what my brother has told me would almost make sense. That my mother was sexually unwilling on their honeymoon in Blackpool, and presumably ever after in that case. If you're not enthused on your honeymoon, you're not really ever going to be, are you? Although the honeymoon bit remains a mystery because I can't find any record of a marriage. I've tried absolutely everything I can think of. The only thing that ever made sense was a marriage abroad. In which case, you marry in some exotic place like Malaya or Singapore or Ceylon, all of which they loved, and then you take your honeymoon in Blackpool. I don't think so. Sexually unwilling. Yes, that I can believe. I actually said something to that effect to my mother once. Intuition again. Now I discover that my brother, in at least two dwellings, and I've said this on some video, whether it's the one uploading I'm not sure, because I made 6. My brother shared my parents' bedroom, which, I'm sorry, I think made him a buffer, or was an attempt at creating a buffer between my mother and father, a sort of safety valve for her. Doesn't seem to have worked very well, since the incident he remembers most clearly was in Whitley Bay, the place where I was supposedly born. Of course, whether I was conceived there or my mother was pregnant during this resistance to my father's activities, I don't know. Now, if it weren't for everything else I know about my father, I would think maybe that was when he became a paedophile. As if you could suddenly become a paedophile at 30-odd, I don't know. I don't think that's what happens with paedophiles. I think it's there from a much earlier age. I can almost imagine some people saying, well, you can kind of understand it if the wife's not coming across. A man has his needs, and so he used the children. Sorry about the plural. But this will be impossible to upload. My father did tell me that he had a sexual... He told me that he had a preference for girls. He liked all children, but he preferred girls. Disliking was not a normal liking. It was a paedophiliac, whatever the word is, liking. And then, of course, my memory was that I crawled into my parents' bed when I was 6 in order to escape my father. But of course it was the parental bed, which meant that for a while I was sandwiched between them. I have said this somewhere else in some uploaded video, I think. Then my father left the bed and took up residence in what had been my bedroom for a while. However, by my reckoning, we'd only been in that house for 6 months when he was 5 months, when he was making plans to go to Twickenham, London. Twickenham, London being where his wife, or ex-wife, Enid lived. He definitely still got to me, as I've said, at weekends, Sunday mornings in particular, Christmas Day mornings, etc., etc. But marrying a 20-year-old can't have been too bad for a man who at the time was oh my brain has just gone. It does this a lot lately. In his 40s. 44, 45. 20-year-old, probably not quite the nearest thing he could get to a young body. A really young body. Because when he went to Twickenham, and Enid was living in Twickenham, and he knew, no matter what he said, that Enid was still living in Twickenham. Karen at that time was 15. And she had a brother who was exactly my age. I'd always thought I was 7 when he left, but actually I must have been about more like 6.5. And she had Enid's youngest daughter at that time was 2. This, I believe, was roughly the age at which my father started on children. So, as I say, to a liberal, say Harriet Harman, a wife isn't coming across, you can understand that, a man has to do what a man has to do. So he used the kids, as I said this earlier. But actually, I think my father started on children before he met my mother. Long before he met my mother. For example, I have a letter that he wrote when he was 21. He made some very inappropriate comments in a letter to his sister, as a matter of fact. Very inappropriate. His sister was 11 years younger than him. The surviving sister. He went to a party when he was 21 years old. And the whole letter is about the wonderful time he spent that evening with an 8-year-old girl whose name, if memory serves, was Sybil. And he even makes remarks about marrying her. I think my father's interest in children way preceded whatever went on with my mother. And I have said in earlier videos, why the hell did she run off in the first place? A young Christian woman, an attractive young Christian woman, with a man she didn't fancy. It makes no sense. I think I have made reference in some previous video today to my belief that he stalked her through Asia, first of all, and continued in England.